Yay. Yeah.
Are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready. Show you.
Hello, everybody. This meeting of the Student Senate is now called to order. The chair recognizes the senator from Siegfried Hall to lead us in opening prayer. Mr. Kelly. Thanks, Miles. If you flip it up.
Okay, I don't know how I can follow karaoke, but here we go. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear God, we thank you for our opportunity to serve Our Lady's entrusted community. May we, members of the Student Senate, be servants of hope and instruments of great change. May we listen and lead with humility, kindness, courage, and love. May we develop a community that inspires all to engage in our daily vocation to be the truest brothers and sisters we can be. Through our dedication, may we call this community our family and this university our home. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you so much, Miles, for leading us in a beautiful opening prayer. I'll now invite Ms. Relic to lead us in roll call. Take it away, Madam Secretary.
All right, Aaron Benavides as chair.
Here.
Dan Bowden-Diestel. Isabella Garcia. Daniel Schermerhorn. Sarah Kirsch. John Mansfield. Christina Escajadillo. Dan Law. Anoop Sunkara. Michael Murakami. Jordan Leiden. Niels Kasperson. Maggie Allen. Albertina Estrada Martinez.
Here.
Perfect. Madison Nemeth. Henry Jackson. Benjamin Earhart. Jason Thomas. Natalie Ortega. Molly Schrock. Lainey Teeters. Ahmed Al-Hassani. Alec Brayler. Bianca Burnett. Carson Thompson. Libby Messman. Anisha Japira. Michael Lynch.
Here.
Miles Kelly. Alex Kobolowski. Patrick Lee. Grace Franco. Teresa Salazar. Henry Bates. Blake Johnson. Johnny O'Meara. Renee Pearson. Jordan Thuralt. Sam Canova.
Here.
Ricardo Poses Garza.
Hi there.
Awesome. Got you, Ricardo. Connor Delaney. Here. Rachel Engel.
Here.
Thomas Davis.
Here.
Perfect. Grace Stevenson. Awesome. Mairead Pfaff. Kurt Golden. Matthew Bisner. Estefan Linares.
Here.
And Karen Kennedy.
Here.
Awesome.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Would you please continue to take it away with our approval of minutes of our last meeting?
So at the last meeting, the Diversity Council executive officers gave a presentation about the history of Notre Dame's Diversity Council and to propose the idea of making Diversity Council a branch of the student union. Resolution 2021-21, encouraging the pursuance of various strategies to alleviate campus community burnout during the spring 2021 semester was passed. Order 2021-10 to amend the constitution of the undergraduate student body to prohibit student union consumption of forced labor was not passed, with the recommendation of the Senate addressing the subject via an alternative route, and a discussion regarding petition 2021-2, a resolution calling for the implementation of an optional pass no credit grading system for the fall semester 2020 was brought to a vote and passed.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Are there any changes to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are passed as read. We now move into executive announcements. Before we get into all of them, you may have noticed I'm not Sarah. So Sarah, of course, is being recognized as the best Spanish student in the state of Indiana today. So I have the great honor of serving in her place as chair, which I will mention is one of my Notre Dame bucket list items. So big day for me today. I ask that you do have patience with me. I obviously am not used to this, so I'll do my best. I'll also add, I'm not the best at names, so I don't have all of your names memorized. So I may call you out by your articles of clothing or other identifying factors, but I promise we'll get through it today. Lastly, before I get into item A under executive announcements, you should have all seen an email today from Father Jenkins and also a later email from Aaron Hoffman-Harding and Mike Seaman on the very disturbing increase in COVID-19 numbers in our community and within the St. Joseph County community at large. And this is something that we all need to be mindful of as we head into a big weekend, as we have game day. As you know, beginning tomorrow, indoor dining at the dining halls will not be allowed. And so we will resume takeout only at the dining halls. And of course, on November 1st, we did not begin indoor dining at the student centers. But again, guys, just please do your best to be as safe as possible. Things are pretty concerning right now in regards to COVID-19. As we face the Clemson game day weekend, we all want to do our part to make sure that we can make it through these next few weeks as best as possible, and just being cognizant of that. But you know, all of those things. So I'll move into item A, academic council update. I had the great pleasure of attending the academic council meeting yesterday along with our representatives, and we finalized the Title IX recommendations that were part of the Title IX ad hoc committee that Sarah and our director of university policy, Abby Wolf, were a part of. And I'm very happy to report to you that the academic council unanimously approved the recommendations of that committee. So the university did go ahead with the preponderance of evidence standard. And basically that was the only significant change that affected students. So instead of just, having that for this semester, we approved that permanently. So that was really great to see from academic council. So now I'll hand it over to Rachel to give an update on Campus Life Council, which met today.
Thank you. Today we convened the Campus Life Council for the second time. It was just a pretty organic discussion. We talked about one, the election and how everybody from their different spheres of campus are working to support students through that. Kind of a lot of conversation about just having informal dialogue with friends and other people in the residence hall, as well as trying to create some safe spaces and an election-free zone so that students who feel exhausted or burnt out by all of the political discourse have a place to go kind of for their mental health. We also discussed the Clemson game and how everyone would be working in their respective areas to try to make sure that student behavior is good. Obviously, we don't have the most control over that, but kind of try to be a little bit creative in terms of how we can message and program around events like that. And we also talked about mental health and moving forward next semester, how we can best adapt and take the lessons that we learned from this semester and carry them forward. And then, should I go to town hall interest?
Yeah, I did that email.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and take that, Madam President. Thank you. And our final executive announcement, as you hopefully saw in your email inboxes on Tuesday, the rescheduled Town Hall on Trust with former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg will take place on Monday, November 9th at 7 p.m. The lottery for tickets is open. Last time I checked, we were over 700 submissions. So that gives you about a 1 in 7 chance. But yes, that lotto form will remain open until 5 p.m. tomorrow. And then I'll run the lotto on Friday night or Saturday morning. And those people will receive an email on their ticket status at some point at Saturday. But yeah, be sure to spread the word about that. We're really excited to have this happen, and we're looking forward to that. So at this point, I think that concludes executive announcements. I will now hand it over to the Honorable Rachel Michelle Engel, the student body president, for the State of the Student Union address. Ms. Engel.
Wow, thank you for that. Senators, thank you for being with us at our penultimate meeting of the semester. I know this year has been dynamic, frustrating, exhausting at times, but I first want to say that I am incredibly proud of the way that you all have continued to serve the student union in the midst of the chaos. You have brought steady service and ceaselessly advocated for your constituents, friends, and peers. This year, more than ever, we needed selfless and courageous students to take the lead on advocating for the interest of the student body, and you have undoubtedly done that. We have all been experiencing an emotional weight this semester, but I do not underestimate the amplified burden that you all shoulder as student leaders. So I want to thank you for being a force for good on this campus at a time when we are deeply in need. As we are all aware, we have been living through an unprecedented semester that has required a great amount of flexibility on our end, considering that there's not a handbook for this, as much as I wish there was sometimes. Every day, we have to be attentive to everything from case numbers to the national news and even to the weather. Especially with the recent tragedy that took the lives of Valeria Espinel and Olivia Laura Rojas, we have been experiencing unparalleled heartache and pain and taking time to remember the light that they brought us. The conversation around mental health has been imperative to this semester, and I hope the energy we are giving to it today continues in the future. On our end, we brought this conversation to the Board of Trustees and spoke to how, in a year without any breaks, many students struggled to adapt to the new cadence of the academic calendar. In an attempt to listen to how the student body was feeling and use their language in our meetings, we sent out a survey that received almost 1,000 responses, and we successfully used this data to work with the provost to modify the spring semester schedule. However, we know that the dialogue on student health and well-being extends much further than giving days off, and we look forward to continuing the work on the conversation. The 2020 presidential election has also colored a lot of the work that we have been doing to increase national engagement. We know that the political climate at the moment is incredibly divisive. However, we also believe that it is on us to facilitate fruitful conversation with the goal of empathetic understanding so that we all may be active shapers in our nation's democracy. Our Student Government Department of National Engagement has been working all semester in partnership with ND Votes, Bridge ND, and all campus political clubs in order to unite on issues of civic engagement and mobilize students to action. We believe that constructive, respectful dialogue is the antidote to the increasing polarization that we see in our nation. For this reason, we hosted or co-sponsored a package of engagement activities: Civic Engagement Week, Rock the Vote, the Presidential Debate Watch, Converge, and other advocacy guides aimed to keep our campus aware of what's happening in our nation and equipped to be a force for good in it. Back on August 10th, temporary measures were put in place to ensure that the university was in compliance with the Department of Education's new Title IX regulations. However, over the course of this semester, the Ad Hoc Committee on Title IX Policies and Procedures, comprised of faculty, staff, and students, has been hard at work at drafting more comprehensive procedures for resolving concerns of discriminatory harassment, sexual harassment, and other sex-based misconduct. After hosting over a dozen listening sessions last week, this committee's final draft was approved by the Academic Council on November 4th. We are pleased that the unanimous support of SS 2021-18, a resolution in support of upholding the preponderance of evidence standard in Title IX and other sex-based misconduct cases, was a contributing factor to the committee's decision to maintain the preponderance of evidence standard and stand with survivors of sexual assault. Additionally, we have been consistently putting in work to continue conversations on racial justice and how to make our campus a more inclusive one. Our Department of Diversity and Inclusion partnered with the Office of Multicultural Student Programming and Services to host Race Relations Week. Within it, they celebrated Indigenous Peoples Day, held a Let's Talk About Race conversation, promoted a conversation with Angela Davis, put on a Dismantling Racism resource fair, and concluded with a prayer for unity. Apart from the programming, Sarah, Aaron, and I have been reevaluating diversity and inclusion from a structural level, engaging in conversations with leadership from Diversity Council and other student leaders about creating long-lasting change both within the student union and the student body. We have been grateful for the conversations we have had thus far, and we are optimistic for the future of these endeavors. Most importantly, as we close out the semester, I hope that you all take care of yourselves. As a student body, we have been through so much, and it has impacted us all in unique ways. Please treat yourself with grace and kindness and use the break as a chance to rejuvenate and refresh. The end of the semester provides us with a great opportunity to reflect on all we have accomplished and remember why we're here in the first place. You have all proved to be strong and resilient in astounding ways, and I am so proud of your service and to be serving by your side. I look forward to finishing the year strong and reconnecting in the semester to come. Keep fighting the good fight.
Thank you very much, Madam President. What a wonderful state of the student union. Before we move on to general order item B, I will smile on a motion to cap our meeting time at 90 minutes. Anybody like to make that motion? I see it over there. Do I have a second? Perfect. Thank you. I think we have to debate on that. Thomas, yell at me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. I'm not. Thank you, semi-Thomas. Real Thomas, what do we think?
As long as there's no objection to that, you're good to go.
No objection to that? Okay, can we vote on that motion? All in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Thank you very much. It looks like our meeting will be capped at 90 minutes. We will now move to Senate Order 2021-14 in order to amend the Constitution of the undergraduate student body to revise the Hall President's Council. I will now recognize one of the co-sponsors of this Senate order to present the amendment.
I'll take it via Zoom. Okay. Order SO 2021-14 in order to amend the Constitution of the undergraduate student body to revise Hall President's Council. Whereas Article 6 of the Constitution of the undergraduate of the Student Union at the University of Notre Dame Duloc outlines the operational procedures of the Hall President's Council, whereas the bylaws of HPC have received a developing ranking from the Student Union Ethics Commission, but are in the process of being revised in order to fully and accurately describe the internal procedures and operations of the HPC, whereas Article 6, Section 3E on page 21 describes attendance policy for the HPC, an operational procedure in accordance to Article 1, Section 2B, and therefore one that should be in the bylaws of HPC rather than the Constitution. Whereas Article 6, Section 3F of page 21 requires HPC to present bylaws to the Student Union Ethics Commission by May 1st, a redundancy from Article 1, Section 2B. Whereas Article 6, Section 4 outlines the transition procedures of the HPC officers, which are already contained in the bylaws of HPC, and qualify as operational procedures rather than constitutional duties in the estimation of the Student Union Ethics Commission. Therefore, be it resolved, all the ordered statements are just addressing the inconsistencies and things we found in the Constitution. So I'll take any questions if there are any.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parliamentarian. Any questions on this Senate order? Yep.
Any question, we can debate a second.
All right, all in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? We are now in debate on SO 2021-14. Any points of debate? All right, all in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? All right, we are now in a vote on Senate Order 2021-14 in order to amend the Constitution of the undergraduate student body to revise Hall President's Council. All in favor of the amendment? All opposed? All abstaining? The Senate order passes. Great, thank you, everyone. I'm having a lot of fun with this gavel, in case you can't tell. We will now move on to General Order C, SO 2021-15, in order to amend the Constitution of the undergraduate student body to revise the Student Union Board. I will now recognize one of the co-sponsors of this Senate order to present the amendment to the Constitution.
So this is just the same thing, but for sub instead of HPC. I'm just gonna skip reading it. It's all the same stuff that we've been able to do. So I'll take any questions on it if anyone has any.
Any questions for the honorable parliamentarian? Yeah, Michael. All right, all in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Be careful there. We are now in debate on SO 2021-15. Yep. All right. Do I have a second? All right, thank you. All in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? All right, we are now in a vote for Senate Order 2021-15 in order to amend the Constitution of the undergraduate student body to revise the Student Union Board. All in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? The Senate order passes. Wonderful work, team. Now we will move on to General Order D, a joint presentation by the Student Union Ethics Commission and the Committee on the Constitution. I believe this is your time, Mr. Parliamentarian.
Yeah, I don't think Matthew's here yet. So,
No, it doesn't look like it.
uh-oh. I guess I will try to do his part as best as possible. So I have a presentation up on here. Can I share it and would it be visible for everyone to see?
Madam President is working it out now.
What do I have to do?
She's not the most technologically inclined, but she'll figure it out.
Wait, what do I actually have to
Well,
do?
he has to start sharing. Oh, make him a co-host.
There we go.
You should be a co-host now, Thomas, and should be able to share your screen. Let's hope that the Honorable President made it work, and then Rachel slide that over.
Yeah.
You'll have to make it, you'll have to minimize and then drag
I'm
it over.
trying to minimize it.
Hit escape. Okay, now drag it over. The Madam President has done it. Thomas, your slides are now on the projector screens.
Fantastic. Thank you, Madam President. Okay, so I would have hoped that Matthew could have joined us, but unfortunately he has class. But this is our presentation, our progress report that was stipulated in SS 2020-109 that passed earlier on in the term to outline what we've been doing between the Committee on the Constitution and the Student Union Ethics Commission. Before, this will be a really short presentation. I don't want to take too much of your time. But just a reminder, I sent out an email to all those relevant parties that need to be Green Dot trained. This is just another reminder that it needs to happen before January 1st. I have been in contact with Green Dot. For those of you that have not been trained, there's quite a few. There is a standing possibility for you to go to the December 10th and December 12th meetings. They're both 2 hours, I believe. You can sign up for that just by going to greendot.nd.edu or something like that. Just search Notre Dame Green Dot. But because of the sheer amount of individuals who are not compliant at this moment, I'm also working with Green Dot to schedule a session sometime after that in the month of December, where we can have mainly student union officers, senators, etc., to have kind of a student union themed or centered Green Dot training for all those that need to receive it. If you've already gone to Green Dot training sometime over your career here at Notre Dame, you're good to go. But thank you everyone for filling out that quick survey earlier in the week. So the Constitution had 51 pages when you all started your term. We've successfully dropped that down to 50. That's been fantastic. Now, I think the two amendments that we passed today might drop it down to 49, maybe even 48. But yeah, that's exciting. We're working slowly but surely. You can see how big of a task this is. But yeah, we're getting there. So Matthew and I, between ComCon and Student Union Ethics Commission, have been working hand in hand, starting mainly with 2-week consultation periods with all of the branch Student Union Ethics Commission representatives. So each one, Senate, Exec Cab, HPC, Sub, etc., all have a representative on the Student Union Ethics Commission, and they've been responsible for submitting, revising, and finalizing bylaws throughout the semester. After the 2-week consultation period, we've been doing them via Zoom, meeting 2 times over the course of 2 weeks to throw ideas off of each other and make improvements. Then Matthew has been sending memos on each organization's bylaws for review and amendment to me and the ComCon to make any further suggestions and to make any of the relevant amendments as we passed today, which is super exciting. So thank you for that. I will share this presentation with all of you. Matthew has linked his rating system for bylaws if any of you that interests you. But the link's attached there in terms of how Matthew is structuring his review and rating system bylaws in the student union. And then we've also been following up with the organization and ComCon from the student union ethics side to make sure that we're kind of pushing out an amendment every other week. Luckily this week we had 2 done. Last week we had CCC done. So we're pushing forward, we're moving. And given all that's going on this semester, it's been going really well, much better than I anticipated. So that's exciting. This is kind of a timeline of where we've been so far. For those of you that don't know, there's over 24,000 words in our Constitution. So we're trying to cut that down as quick as we can where it's possible. So way back in August, you may remember you confirmed or you approved my appointments to the ComCon. They were seated, and by September, we began Student Union Ethics Commission bylaw consultations and ComCon meetings. They've been going super well. We've been meeting on Wednesday nights. We've been doing them Zoom, so it's been a little difficult to get to know all of the members, but it's been fun, I think, for me at least. In between the time, in addition to the Student Union Ethics Commission doing these consultations, they have been faced with multiple ethics hearings and inquiries. So on their side, it has slowed down the process quite a bit. Because of the nature of ethics hearings and inquiries, I can't really divulge any details. However, it has been a considerable roadblock. If there has been any main problem, that's been it in our process here. But ultimately, that is the main purpose of the Student Union Ethics Commission, to deal with these ethics hearings and inquiries. So we're tasking these 2 committees and commissions with different tasks. They're doing very well, but they have multiple duties. So that's the only problem going forward. You also have sent us 2 orders. You've referred them to the ComCon, which has taken up considerable time in committee because they were issues that deserved considerable discussion. And I thank you for sending those to us. And I've sent back my 2 recommendations, and I guess both of them have been rejected. But in the process, we did come to a lot of good discussion. And I think for the growth of ComCon going forward and the growth of the members, it's been incredibly fruitful for them to have discussions on these tough topics, even if they weren't the perfect answers. They're having fruitful discussions about these issues, which will serve the student union very well going forward. And just before we turned the month of November, you all passed the CCC amendment last week, and then you passed HPC and sub today. So super exciting. That's 3 amendments based on our internal review. That really, if you do remember Matthew's presentation at the beginning of the year, beginning of the semester of the term, this is the first step in the process of getting the Constitution a better place. So I appreciate your willingness to look at all these orders and consider them and pass them. So progress to date from the Ethics Commission. First, we met with Club Coordination Council, then with Sub, HBC, class councils, and currently Judicial Council is doing their in-house review. You'll see that CCC received distinguished bylaws. It was great to start with them because they're in a very good spot. They've been working hard on them, so there wasn't much work we needed to do there other than constitutional revisions. Sub has proficient bylaws. We passed them today, as you saw in the resolution. And HPC is still developing. They were in a different spot, but working with Kurt has been a great process between Matthew, Kurt, and I. And I think the revisions that Kurt's been able to make to the bylaws have been fantastic so far. Again, if you want to take a look at them, all the memos are hyperlinked here, courtesy of Matthew, if you're that interested. Class councils and judicial council. Class council is proficient. The interesting thing about that is there's 4 class councils, so 4 sets of bylaws. But luckily, we've been able to work with all their Student Ethics Commission representatives, and it's been a great process. Judicial Council, believe it or not, has developing bylaws. Our bylaws aren't that great for all the work that we do on the backside of the student union. A lot of it has been based in precedent rather than written by law. So Matthew and the rest of the Judicial Council officers, we are working on improving them, actually putting them in place, because there has been times when the bylaws just haven't been, just did not exist. So we're getting there, and we're amending them piece by piece to better fit the student union. Coming up for next semester, Exec Cab, Student Senate, FMB, and Off-Campus Council. We've already kind of discussed with Off-Campus Council. They submitted theirs and they were beautiful. So we look forward to improving them and moving forward. Now, in terms of ComCon, basically ComCon has been structured in 3 separate focuses so far. We've had internal review, we've had branch review, and we've had Senate referrals. So obviously the Senate referrals you are all familiar with. In terms of internal and branch review is the process that the 2 amendments we passed today, we're going piece by piece through all the student union branches and addressing those concerns. Internal review are the more lofty philosophical issues of the Constitution that pop up here and there. So far, we've focused on 3 of them. That's petition, initiative, and referendum, constitutional inconsistencies across the board, and election regulations. Those 3 committees are working, or subcommittees are working very hard right now. My hope is to have an election reform order for you all on next week's meeting. So be sure, please, when you get the agenda from Sarah next Tuesday, to read through that amendment carefully. Election regulations are very important, and we're focusing on getting them done before the semester ends because we need to. And it's important to have a clean slate of election regulations by the time the spring semester rolls around. So that's going to be an important one. There should be debate on that. So please come prepared next week with your thoughts and concerns on that. I'm going to try to get that out as soon as possible, but our subcommittee is working very hard on that right now. Nicole Marcinkus, who's a former senator, she is the subcommittee lead on that, and she's doing a fantastic job. Madison Namath, also our student union deputy parliamentarian and senator, is working on amendments to what was Article 15 and is now Article 14 regarding petition, initiative, and referendum in terms of numbers regarding what a petition needs to receive in terms of signatures before coming to the Senate. So these are important things that we're dealing with, and I hope you're interested because they are important issues, but they should be coming down the pipeline in next semester. Next semester, we're focusing mainly on the more lofty issues of the student union. Article 1, which should be general provisions, is just a poor article. And the subcommittee, we're going to have one over the winter session, kind of, if those are members of the committee are available to address these issues, which should be interesting, and we'll have something ready for you when we get back in the spring. In terms of branch review, the big 3 basically are Senate, FMB, and executive. Senate is, I believe, one of the longest articles in the Constitution behind FMB and fiscal policy of the student union. So it's going to be important to address this, and I look forward to hearing some of your input, especially with Senate bylaw and Senate constitutional stipulations, just from what you've experienced in Senate so far and how you feel that they're lining up. In terms of restructuring, you may not recall, but Matthew and I have a grander vision for how we envision the executive branch in the student union. And of course, this is up for debate. But currently, we'd like to move both executive officers, executive cabinet, and special interest organizations. There's an asterisk there for a reason, because we're not settled on that. And we don't even know what special interest orgs are. But having an executive branch that is more encompassing and includes more ideas under the jurisdiction of the executive, not necessarily in complete control over, for example, student special interest orgs, but just to have them placed in a certain spot in the Constitution where it makes sense for them to lie, especially because a lot of these interests, a lot of the policy do extend in some way from the executive. And they may be loosely related, but it is what it is. The reason why special interest orgs has an asterisk there is because if you were to ask me today what a special interest org is, I don't know. That's kind of been a question that I've been facing ever since I took this position. There's 5 of them, I believe. They all serve completely different purposes and different roles. They really are special interests, and that's why they have their own spot. But we'd like to redefine, to repurpose, and to ask ourselves, what does it mean to be a special interest org in the student union? So that's going to be kind of a lofty question going forward as we enter next semester. And then Senate referrals, whatever you want to send us, please do. That's our job. And just to wrap up with some trends that we've noticed across the student union, basically all the articles that you've seen that we've revised have removed transition procedures out of the Constitution. The resolution that you sent us back in the beginning of the term, when you asked us to take a look at operational procedures that could be removed, that's exactly what we're doing. And transition is the biggest focus of that project. Repetition is a huge problem. There is a lot of instances you'll see in all the amendments that we've had. We've removed the bylaw submission requirement that's already stipulated in Article 1, but it seems like every branch also has that same stipulation. So we're working to find those redundancies. Also, the largest problem, which keeps coming up, and I had to form a whole subcommittee in ComCon to address this, is cross-references across the Constitution. So when it says Article 15 and then Article 15 gets amended, or Article 14 gets amended and Article 15 becomes Article 14, it just leads to a mess of different references, both intra and inter-article. So it just doesn't make sense to have cross-references in the Constitution, so we're working on getting those out so it's more clear for everyone to read. And a huge issue that we've seen throughout this semester and in semesters past is a lack of knowledge over constitutional requirements. The biggest one is Green Dot. Of the nearly 200 student union officers, over 115 of them have not completed their eligibility requirement to be Green Dot trained. There's also other things in the Constitution were based on precedent, and predecessors were just not followed in the transition process. They don't get told about the Constitution. They don't read the Constitution. I don't blame you for not reading the Constitution. As you know, it's 50 pages and it's super long. But the important part of this project, especially with cross-references and especially the key project that we're working on is election reform. For most of you, as you know, when you ran for Senate, you were supposed to read this article about elections, and you probably looked at it and said, what the heck, this is way too much stuff. And that can be a real turnoff for those that are interested in running. And for the most part, it's probably your first introduction to the student union or first introduction to the Constitution is reading elections when you're a first-time candidate and you're running. The point of our election reform project is to make it as clean, as concise, and as clear to people that are new to the student union in terms of what they need to do, what they can't do, and just how to get involved. So I don't think we're going to be down to 12 pages by the end of this semester, because we're certainly not, maybe not even the end of the year. This is going to be a long-term 3-year project, but I hope, by the time I'm long gone out of this wonderful institution, that the Constitution, looking back, can be a much cleaner document and easier to understand, and that everyone reads it, because you should. But I think that's all I have. Yeah, that's all I have. So I will stop sharing. And if anyone has any questions, I anticipate not, but if you do, that'd be exciting. I'm in isolation. I got nothing else to do. So please ask questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parliamentarian, for your wonderful presentation. Are there any questions on this presentation? Yeah, thank you, Thomas, so much for all of your great work and for your continued service to the student body. You were a very important person in our student union. We are also grateful to work alongside you this year, and so excited to see the work that you will continue to do. Seeing no more questions, I will give a brief recap of what we have coming up next week. Next week will be the last Senate meeting of the semester, so we'll start off that meeting with a presentation by Christine Karen Gebhardt, the Assistant Vice President of Student Services, on fighting Irish care. She is a wonderful administrator in student affairs, and so we'll look forward to hearing from her. On top of that, we will see SO 2021-16, 17, and 18, orders to amend the Constitution, to consolidate election regulations, to revise and consolidate Article 1 of the same Constitution, and to revise the class council's article. That is it for new business. Now we'll move into announcements. I'll start off with my own, and I just want to say, everybody, please take care of yourselves. This is the home stretch. We're almost there. And if you need anything from us, please know that we're always here for you. But yeah, make sure you do take care of yourselves. We're almost there. I know it's been a long, long journey, but we are going to make it. Murray.
Sub is hosting a conversation with Nancy Kerrigan at Compton Ice Arena tomorrow night at 7. So Nancy will be zooming in to give a talk. There will be a meet and greet for a select number of people that are chosen. Afterwards, there will also be free skate, insomnia cookies, and hot chocolate. And then we are also hosting, in collaboration with Black Student Association next Tuesday, a conversation about racial inequality with Dean Marcus Cole of the law school. And so there will be hot chocolate and coffee in the Hasbrook courtyard outside Touchdown Jesus at 6 p.m. beforehand with some members of the Black Teachers Association if you want to have a conversation before listening to the talk. And then, as always, we have Goose Cafe tonight, and we're screening Milk, which is the movie based on Harvey Milk's life, tonight and tomorrow in Deagle Park. Also in South the movie.
Thank you so much for all of the great work of Sub, Murray, Niels.
Do you guys know anything, or do you have any update about the pass-fail policy?
I would say not as much of an update. It was not brought up at Academic Council this week. And I will again say, and sorry, I was not really at that conversation last week at our meeting because I had a commitment beforehand, but before it was pretty clear that they weren't really considering that as an option. Again, we will keep you guys updated if we hear anything otherwise. But yeah, that is where that is. Any other announcements? Renee.
Get your green beanies for 20% off today only. Any class can get them. Everyone's deterred because 2023 is on the back, but it's on the back. You can't see it. It's only $14 today. All the proceeds go to St. Albert's. They usually get like tens of thousands of dollars from the Fisher Regatta that was canceled last spring. So they really need the funds. Help out St. Albert's and wear a green beanie.
Thanks so much, Renee. Any other announcements?
Agree.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a second? All right, let's vote on that motion. All in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? This meeting of the Student Senate is adjourned. Mute and end the live stream.
Good work, you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot going on here.
Great job, Aaron.